The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
And good morning, Kern County. It is 5 a.m. on this Friday morning. I'm Alex Fisher alongside Kevin Charette. We begin this morning with the Fairfax School Board meeting and addressing criminal charges against one of its own, Palmer Moland. 17's Michaela Armstrong was at that meeting last night, the latest chapter in a saga spanning more than 4 years.
The Fairfax School Board met tonight to get answers after Board of Trustee member Palmer Moland was hit with 7 felony charges of election fraud last month. Parents, teachers, and students joined together at Fairfax Junior High School asking for action.
I want her to arrest you. I want you to have to pay back every dime of money that can be traced back to Palmer's Living Services.
Residency in California and in our district threatened. And these are lies.
This is the first school board meeting since Board of Trustee member Palmer Moland was hit with 7 felony charges, including misappropriating public funds and falsifying his address on election documents to live in the district. Community members started a petition to recall Moland, but it was unsuccessful. Pamela Padilla was the president of the recall committee and says the board must take action.
I want him to have to pay restitution for all the money that he took from the school. You know, these kids deserve to have that money back. Even if it takes him 10 years to pay it back, he needs to pay it back. That was not his money. That was not his money to spend, especially on legal services. You know, he should have did like everybody else and go get legal counsel with his own funds, not the public funds and the school funds.
Community members brought signs and addressed the board asking for 2 other members to step down, Jose Tapia and Alma Rios. Maria Hernandez was one and says Moland did not do this alone.
That we have so many political people in Kern County, like Kevin McCarthy, that they're supposed to defend schools and underprivileged students, but somehow this side of town always gets no attention at all.
However, no decision was made. Moland is set to appear in court in December. Michaela Armstrong, 17 News.
Outcries this morning over rising gang violence in Kern County are reaching the state capitol now. This as more school districts cancel activities following what officials call a rash of violence in Delano, Wasco, and McFarland. Delano Police Chief Tyson Davis confirming to 17 News that the uptick in shootings is gang-related, adding that all law enforcement agencies in impacted areas are in constant contact with each other about the situation. We are still waiting to hear from officials on just how many shootings have taken place. The violence, though, prompted a move earlier this week by the McFarland Unified School District to cancel all school activities and sporting events for the rest of this week, with Wasco Union High School District following suit yesterday. And school officials are not the only ones speaking out. The fear of violence reaching as far as the state capitol. State Senator Melissa Hurtado sent a letter to California Attorney General Rob Bonta asking that he direct the Department of Justice to create a special task force to provide immediate assistance to Kern County to address rising violence and homicide rates.
I might say they're on edge. You know, at the end of the day, you know, wins and losses come, but, you know, we want students to be safe. You know, not just Wasco's on edge, but everyone's on edge because everyone wants to be safe. And, you know, we don't want anything to happen at any of the games, but, you know, everyone's on edge and, you know, everyone's well aware of the situation. And, you know, we're just doing our best to, you know, keep on keeping on.
More than just varsity football has been affected in these communities. McFarland and Wasco school districts have canceled all athletic events, while several Delano sporting events have either been cut, moved, or postponed.
And backed by popular demand, Edwards Air Force Base will be holding its Aerospace Valley Air Show this weekend. This is the first open house they've had in 13 years. This is a new event dedicated to showing the best of STEM and aviation. This is where X-Planes, where they break the speed record, are going to show off their best moves. And this is going to be an all-weekend event. And again, the Aerospace Valley Air Show will have a large expo with more than 60 hands-on displays and activities. There will also be a kids zone and a beer garden for the entertainment. Gates will open at 8:30 Saturday and Sunday morning. Tickets are on sale at event.attendstar.com. And Bakersfield Memorial Hospital announces it will soon be the home to a new operating room, specially designed for children in Kern County. The Small Miracles Foundation and the Lauren Small Benefit have donated $2 million to the Pediatric Surgical Suites project. Cassie Wright and the Wright Family Foundation donated another $250,000 for the project. Bakersfield Memorial Hospital CEO Ken Keller says the new surgical facility will ensure fewer kids and their families will have to travel away from home to receive the care.
Locally, we've seen since the Lawrence Small Children's Center started a tremendous uptick of patients, children being taken care of here. We've elevated the level of care that we have the capacity to provide, and we've reduced the number of children that are having to go down to LA or up to Fresno. This will continue that.
The January 6th committee held what is likely its last public hearing before the November midterm elections, and in a surprise move, the panel voted unanimously to subpoena former President Trump. NBC's Bree Jackson has been following these hearings.
The resolution is agreed to.
An historic move by the January 6th committee voting to subpoena former President Trump.
And so if we get his attention, fine. If not, we'll go with the evidence that we've collected.
Mr. Trump, unlikely to appear, asked, "Why didn't the Unselect Committee ask me to testify months ago?" blasting them as political hacks and thugs and promising a response later this morning. The panel stressing its case that the former president willfully incited the insurrection.
He was personally and substantially involved in all of it.
Arguing Trump orchestrated a plan to stay in power by spreading false claims about election fraud and was backed by his inner circle.
The key thing to do is to claim victory.
But that doesn't mean he's the winner. He's just going to say he's the winner.
Claiming victory publicly.
Frankly, we did win this election.
While privately acknowledging defeat.
And he was looking at the TV and he said, "Can you believe I lost to this effing guy?"
The panel also revealing emails and other evidence showing the Secret Service had ample warning of threats of violence from far-right extremist groups.
The source went on to say their plan is to literally kill people. Please take this tip seriously and investigate further.
Shocking video shows lawmakers scrambling to an undisclosed secure location, pleading for help.
They're breaking the law in many different ways. And quite frankly, much of it at the instigation of the President of the United States.
The committee summing up its argument that former President Trump played a key role in the riot, did little to stop it, and warned threats to democracy remain. The January 6th committee plans to release a final report of its investigation by the end of this year. Members say they will make legislative recommendations and are considering criminal referrals to the Justice Department. In Washington, I'm Bree Jackson for NBC News.
Now less than a month from November's midterm election, if Republicans take control of the House and Bakersfield's own Congressman Kevin McCarthy is elected Speaker, as is expected, McCarthy would have the power to disband the January 6th committee and makes Trump's subpoena a moot point. But it may be irrelevant anyway. McCarthy himself was subpoenaed by the committee back in May and refused to comply, thus far without any legal ramifications. A new labor report shows overall inflation climbed 8.2% over the year through September. Economists say higher interest rates are failing to impact consumers beyond the housing and automobile markets. Demand is high, wages are rising, and consumers are still spending. The White House, though, says the new numbers aren't all bad. Home buyers are backing out of sales because of skyrocketing mortgage rates, the highest level since 2006. The average on a 30-year fixed mortgage rate hit almost 7% in the first week of October. That comes as the same time as the Bankers Association says the number of potential home buyers applying for loans dropped by 69% compared to a year ago. Mortgage rates have now more than doubled since the beginning of the year. 5:36 is our time now, and jurors deliberating in the Kristen Smart murder trial must begin their deliberations over again after a member of the jury was excused. There are two juries in this case, one for Paul Flores and another for his father, Ruben Flores. Paul Flores, a former classmate of Cal Poly student Kristen Smart, is accused of killing her in his dorm while trying to rape her. Flores was the last person known to have been with the 19-year-old before she disappeared in 1996. Ruben Flores is accused of helping his son hide Smart's body. Her remains have never been found. Yesterday, a juror on Ruben Flores' jury was excused and an alternate was assigned. Paul Flores' jury has been deliberating since October 4th. Ruben Flores' jury began the 5th. Well, we have long known about the handsome, distinctive building on 18th Street that has been the headquarters of the Women's Club of Bakersfield for more than a century. And now the National Historic Registry knows about it as well. Here's 17's Robert Price with the story of their celebration.
Bakersfield doesn't always do a good job of honoring its history, but today was not one of those days. An historic downtown building, the Women's Club, has been accorded special recognition, placement on the National Registry of Historic Places. A plaque commemorating that designation was unveiled outside the century-old building Thursday morning. Women's Club President Bino Cameron has worked for months to make it happen.
Well, it means that those behind us will have to preserve this building as it is. They cannot change the integrity of this building, and I think that's most important, that we always preserve this history in our community.
The headquarters of the century-old community service organization at 18th and D Streets was designed in 1919 by architect Charles Bigger, who chose Italian Renaissance for its design. Two of Bigger's grandsons, Bruce and Jeff Bigger, were in attendance. This is Bruce Bigger.
All of the buildings that he designed that I'm aware of have withstood the 1952 earthquake. The Building A at Kern Medical Center, Harvey Auditorium, the Bakersfield Californian building. There are so many buildings that he did, and it's just amazing and awesome.
The Women's Club helps out in many ways, including just a few of their undertakings: women's recovery programs, Ronald McDonald House, and scholarships for high school seniors. The club, which funds its charitable activities in part by renting out its hall, still has a healthy roster of members, young and old, so it's not disappearing anytime soon, and neither is its historic, federally recognized building. 101 years and still going. At the Bakersfield Women's Club, Robert Price, 17 News.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.